15th, 2024. I will do the opening prayer, and I would like after that for you to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. Statue of Liberty is that lady with the thing in her hand. Lord, we gather tonight here intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all, regardless of personal, political, or religious differences. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We welcome all the citizens and all our visitors, and we hope that you come back many times, but don't complain. No. Now I have approval of the agenda. Is there any changes?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I have council.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have approval and a second. All in favor?
You're going to ask us if we were yea or nay? Aye.
Oh, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. You ought to know that. All right, the approval of the minutes from the July 18th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. Council?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a move to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Abstain.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from the July 30th, 2024 City Council work session.
Move to approve. Second.
Approval and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hey, I got through that. All right, we move on to recognitions and presentations. Are we going to do in that order, or? Okay. Safety Action Plan presented by Richard Fangman of Pond. I thought your first name was Pond, that's why I got concerned.
Oh, okay. Sir, thank you, Richard Fangman with Pond and Company. We're really excited to be working with you with the city as well as the other cities in Fayette County Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. There we go. I'll say, yeah, with Fayette County, I'll say my name again, Richard Fangman with Pond. And I'm really excited to be working on the Safety Action Plan to look at transportation safety in the cities and counties and how we can help to all work together and provide a framework for improving safety. And I guess Paola Kimball is here as well from Fayette County, and who is the project manager from the county's perspective on this project. So, again, just kind of want to walk through. I guess there's a clicker here for me. Let me try that. Take just a few minutes. I know you have a full agenda, so we'll try to. Okay, there we go. Move on through. Talk about a few of these things here. As far as the Safe Systems approach, a little bit about the schedule and our preliminary analysis results. Well, it just take us a minute for it to go, doesn't it? Okay, there we go. Okay. So, I guess consultant team, so there's me. Other folks that are on the team include MPH, which is our public engagement expert. So you'll see all these faces around at some point probably during this process. And then also Todd Long is representing Atlas Engineering. So Atlas Engineering is going to be helping us with providing the project program and things like that. So that's kind of our team. Also, we meet regularly with our project management team, which includes all representatives from the cities, including your city, all the cities of the county, but also representation from the Atlanta Regional Commission, Georgia DOT, and Federal Highway Administration. So those are all kind of partners in this overall effort. And so what is this overall effort? This overall effort is looking at safety, safe streets and roads for all, and so the idea is trying to look at safety for all, all transportation users, including those who drive on the streets, but also those who walk and bike, and those who use golf carts, which the folks in Peachtree City reminded us quite a bit when we met with them. But also, looking at, the inputs of the study or this community input, and one of the things that's real exciting is today we're kind of kicking that off by doing a quick presentation to you all and the other city councils there are two others that are meeting today, and also there's going to be a public meeting, and you have a flyer for this on August 27th here. It'll be our first sort of public meeting for this process right here in your library. And so we'll be doing that, and we'll be doing some pop-up events in the months of August and September around the county as well to try to get interest in the plan. You'll also see on this handout here, that if you look at one before you go, there's a survey on there that you can use the QR code or the website to get to, and it really allows you to kind of look interactively at a map of the city and put down places that you think are areas of concern that you want us to look at very closely. You can do it that way. You can also let Chris know, and I'm sure he'll let us know what areas you have their interest as well to focus on. So all that input from the community through those processes also being matched with data analysis. So we're looking at what are the crashes out in the world, what are the causes of those, and how do we look at putting best practices together. So developing then, doing the analysis and framework development. And the result of this project is the idea of sort of a vision zero initiative. So the idea of you can't say necessarily that you always get to zero injuries and fatalities, but that's the goal, is eventually to move towards that over time. And so projects will come out of this, recommendations on policies as well as programs, which are sort of groupings of projects. Like maybe you want to improve sidewalks, but you can't do them all right at once. Well, how do we improve those over time? Those are the kinds of things that are there. So part of this follows the federal, this is a grant also that was received by the county, and the cities were involved in applying for a federal grant through the infrastructure bill. The federal infrastructure bill, usually the federal bills provide funding that goes through GDOT, through Atlanta Regional Commission, and then down to cities and counties. But this actually is through this bill, you're allowed to get a direct award from the feds for this type of money. So this is something you applied for, so you are the county's direct recipients of this award, and so Federal Highway is sort of a direct partner in this. And we'll be looking at some of the things through their safe systems approach, which involves things like looking at safe road users. So what are things we do to make sure that road users are being safe when they're out there. Safe vehicles. We think, well, safe vehicles, that's something like inspection of your car. That's not necessarily something the county does really, but there's programs that people are trying to implement around, all around the region and elsewhere, for things like putting reflectors on your bikes and reflective clothing that you would wear when you're jogging, things like that. So there are safe road user and safe vehicles actually really extends to all sort of road users and vehicles. Safe speeds is something we hear time and time again everywhere that we're working on these, is that folks get concerned with high speeds on the road network. And then of course safe roads, that's just the idea of intersections and roads being, how we make sure those are safe. So we'll be looking at all those different elements as part of this plan. And let's see. Yeah, and then that related to and also then looking at policies. And then another step for this is sort of evaluation and monitoring. So the idea is that at the end we'll have some recommendations on how you could do monitoring over time to help you to see how your program is progressing and what changes you might need to make. All these pieces being put together, and the fact that it's sort of following all the framework that the feds have asked to be followed is good, because what it does is it provides you a way to then apply for money from the Federal Highway Administration for safety improvements. And also as you're applying to things like money through the ARC process, they'll be knowing that you've got a safety plan that has followed certain criteria to help identify programs and projects. So that's why those are sort of the reasons why to do it. What a little bit we'll be doing when. I'm going to show you project schedule here in the next slide. You're going to say, don't worry, I won't go through this. But what this does is kind of outlines the months a little bit. We started about it in May. Today we're at end of July, so we've been doing a lot of that front end data analysis work, and then we'll be wrapping up by December. We'll be having a draft of this document that's available for you all to look at, and so that the activities in 2025 are really just kind of finalizing that, getting that through the process of adoption. So you can see from now through the end of the year, we have several meetings with our stakeholder committee and these 2 public meetings that we'll be having. So we'll be having these in-person public meetings, but again, we'll be also be having pop-ups, and we'll have this, this interactive input tool that'll be really available all the way through November for folks to provide us input through the process. So we have that, and then, yeah, this just kind of lays out a few of those things I really already talked about the schedule. But again, just August for this public meeting, and then October, early November for our next public meeting. That sort of puts bookends on that part of the process. Talk real quick about goals and priorities. Again, I think I talked about this a little bit on the previous slide, but the idea of trying to make sure that we're looking at these key safety challenges and we're considering those, and that we're, you know, looking at the FHWA requirements, but also their countermeasures. There's a lot of tools in the toolbox now that that other group areas are using, you know, that we could maybe bring to bear in Fayette County that could have some safety benefit, especially some cost-effective, you know, type of improvements. And so then I want to just kind of take a minute to show you some of the preliminary results of some of the analysis, just to give you a little bit of flavor. This is just some kind of initial high-level data. We've kind of scrubbed this data in a lot of different ways too, and you'll see a little more of that at our public meeting. And then also when we get to September, we'll have the results of our needs report. Yeah. So this is kind of a heat map, and it shows you where crashes are. Oops, I was going to go back real quick. Where all crashes are that are occurring in the county. And so it's sort of, or I'm sorry, this is just Fayette. Oh, sorry, we do have this for the county and for all the different cities as well. But you know, kind of shows you where you're having more intensity of crashes. Now, you're having them along the state routes because you've got a lot of traffic along the state routes. So we're looking at, you know, so one thing you can see is if you make an improvement at some of those intersections, if there is something needed at those, you can get a big bang for your buck because you've got a lot of crashes happening in some of those places. Another way we'll look at that, not shown here, but is looking at, you know, what is the rate of crashes? Because sometimes then the more minor roads that you see that just have some lighter areas of crash concentration, those may pop out more because there maybe have more crashes per vehicle. And sometimes that tells us things about geometric problems. Maybe there's a curve in the road that's too sharp, or maybe there's some other reason that we need to fix those roads that are high per crash. You also see on there this kind of tracks where the fatalities are occurring, the fatal crashes, and so we're digging in a little more deeply to those to make sure we're understanding the causes there. Another thing we're looking at is active mode crashes, and by active modes we talk about sort of walking, cycling, and also sort of golf cart use. I know you all have that, probably not as prevalent as, say, Peachtree City does, but it's starting to get in there. And so we're going to do a scrub of that data to see how many or have you had crashes associated with those at this stage. You can see some of the areas of concentration are, you know, again on some of your main routes, but you can also see, you know, over there in the western side of you know, Fayetteville as you get in there, and you know, you kind of on the eastern side near Jefferson Davis, you know, having some crashes there too. So there's some differences in the patterns, you know, between those two that we're digging into as well. One other area that we've been looking at is, you know, crashes related to freight and trucks. And one thing that's interesting, you look at that and you think, well, wow, I can understand this being on some of the state routes. Wow, there's some crashes occurring that are off these on some of the secondary roads. Some of those aren't even supposed to have trucks, right? You know, and we know the trucks are kind of you know, spilling onto a lot of the minor roads. They do that to get away from congestion. They also do that because of cell phones that everyone uses. They use them too as they're trying to get through and follow routing that is not necessarily where you want them to go. So those are some things to think about, but what we really want to do is look at where are those concentrations and are there things that need to be done on the freight system, you know, for those. So that's just kind of a really high-level view of kind of some of the data. Again, we've got more stuff we can dig into and more things that will be presented as we move along. But I just wanted to see if you all had any questions for us as we embark on this first phases in getting the public input.
Will we get an expanded map of the city of Fayetteville? Because looking at those dots, it's kind of hard to tell where that really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
So that is available?
Yeah,
Or will
we
it
can,
be available online?
Yeah, we'll make sure that's available. We can send that to you all. There's some stuff that's online associated with this online survey and all that, but we'll make sure that you get the maps in some detail.
Because we may have questions, we may
Yeah.
us or the citizens have questions as to in areas that they feel like are high rate of accidents.
Yes.
And if we have that already pinpointed, that we can say, well, it's already one of the areas that people are looking at. But if they
Okay.
can't really see what that is, may not be able to tell exactly where that is.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that you all get some maps that are labeled a little more. And when we have the public meeting, when it's up in front of the public, we'll make sure that those are, things that they can see and recognize. Usually we wait till right around the time of the public meeting to post the materials from the public meetings. We want to make sure that they've kind of, had a chance to see them there.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm just curious why we're doing this plan. We have a comprehensive transportation plan for the county. Why are we doing separate plans? Why can't this fit into that? It just seems like duplication.
That's probably, that could be more of a question for the county staff, since they were the ones that procured the plan. But one of the things that I think that you get a lot of value from this does have a separate funding source for it. So you could perhaps put that into your CTP and do them together.
I understand it's for
but it's-
funding.
yeah.
It allows us to get certain funding, but it just
But
seems
again-
like to me, it seems like a duplication of services when, we already got one plan. Why are we doing another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, duplication costs money.
Yeah, so just a question, concern
Yeah.
I had.
There's an answer
I
for it.
might be able to answer this a little bit better. So the CTP is more of the comprehensive.
State your name, please.
Oh, Paola Kimball, I'm the transportation engineer for Fayette County. CTP, more comprehensive plan for the county. The safety action plan, we really are looking how to reduce fatalities and serious injuries. So we're looking more at the safety methods to do that. So we're pinpointing just on safety.
I'm just thinking in the future, with further discussion with ARC and different groups, maybe this would be something that could be part of the CTP and not so much a separate document. Just
And we are working on the CTP too soon. We're working with GDOT for that one as well.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Where's the data come from all the accidents?
That comes from the state. The Georgia DOT has accidents that are reported up. You all, as well as all the other folks in the county, provide that data up to them, and so we're using data there. We're looking at the last 5 years in detail. I think the other two things I could say is this does let you do that deeper dive, and because it comes from a direct award from the feds, it's a little more difficult for ARC to put it together at this time because it's not really flowing through them. But that's a very good point. I'm sure that they would love to hear is how to incorporate these things with updates.
Well, thank you very much, Richard.
Yes,
It looks like it's very comprehensive, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll get something out of it other than just spending money.
We hope so. We hope so. That's our goal, and we look forward to your input as we go
Citizens have
through
any
this process.
questions for Mr. Pankman?
What's that? Sorry.
I was wondering if any citizens had any questions for you. I guess not. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
For your
All right, thank
time. Next, we move on to recognizing Police Chief Scott Gray on becoming the 62nd President of the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, presented by City Manager.
Close to his
Ray
age, I
Gibson.
think, right, Scott?
Huh?
Close to his age. No.
Yeah.
Let's go down.
And you want us to come down now, or do you want to wait?
You can wait.
Okay.
So on July 23rd, Mayor Ed Johnson, Assistant City Manager Alan Jones, and myself were able to had the honor of going to Savannah to the police conference, the GACP, Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police Conference, to see our chief, Scott Gray, sworn in as the 62nd president of the organization. He was actually sworn in by his son, Thomas, who currently serves as a detective at the City of Calhoun Police Department, so that's obviously a great experience. And then, important, this role is very important, right? It not only ensures best practices in policing throughout the state, but it also is at the forefront of important legislation at the state capitol. So our chief will be at the Capitol a lot, pushing for a legislation to honor and protect the police profession. And that's a big part of this role. So his election as president is evidence of his commitment not only to the profession, but to the department and to the city. So for that, we'd like to call him up and thank him for his service to not only the city, but to the state of Georgia. So Chief Gray.
Just like to thank the mayor and council, city manager, assistant city manager, and all those men and women back there that allow me to do the job every day. They're the real heroes. They're the people that actually get it done. Like I've said a lot of times, and in Savannah that day, I just get out of their way, or try to most of the time, and let them do their job. So I really appreciate it. It's a great honor. It's a great honor for Fayetteville. And when I ran for the office, man, it seems like it was yesterday, 5-6 years ago, to move up on the board, I had a conversation with these two guys and said, what do you think? By the time I get to the end, it's going to require me to do a lot of stuff. And they both didn't blink an eye and said, don't take on too much, but go for it. So here we are, and I appreciate everybody's support and look forward to a great 15 months. So we should have a good time. All right, thank you.
All come down and take a picture. All right.
Go look there first and then look here.
Thank you all.
Something we always like to see is recognitions and recognizing our employees and our citizens and different organizations. And, you know, it's hopefully I know he'll do a great job, because he's done a great job here in the city since he's been our police chief. Moving on, we go to public hearings. And before I go any further, I want to remind everybody to mute your phones for just in case you don't remember. Catherine? All right, consider 0-12-24, amendments to Chapter 86, rate amendment, presented by Assistant Director of Finance and Administrative Services, Carletha Character now.
Yes, good evening. The water and sewer rate increase was advertised, presented, and adopted with the fiscal year 2025 budget. However, we failed to do the separate ordinance that is needed for Muni Code. Attached is the water and sewer rate increase ordinance before you. The increase was 5%. Staff is recommending the amendment of the ordinance for Section 8662, the basic rates, charges, billing, and Section 8665, the unmetered water.
Any questions for the citizens? Any questions for the council? Oh, do we have some?
Oh, I was just wondering, with these increases, does that have anything to do with the data center that's coming up?
No, ma'am.
No. Kathy, would you state your name and?
Oh, yeah, no, excuse me. I'm Kathy.
For the record.
I'm Kathy Vaught, and I live at 105 Meeting Place Drive in Fayetteville. Thank you.
The rate increase was part of our plan that we had instituted last year, if I'm not correct, and it's going to be 5% over a period of the next 2 or 3 years. Is that correct?
No, we did a rate study earlier in the year,
Uh-huh.
and the rate study had suggested 20%, but we wanted to go back and look at it again, and so we did the 5% for now.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no more questions, or I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We approve 0-12-24 amendment to the Chapter 86 rate amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is 0-16-24 and 0-17-24, annexation and rezoning requests from Victor Clincy to annex 1.4 acres on Ellis Road, parcels 0538091 and 0538028, and rezone them from CH Highway Commercial to Neighborhood Commercial NC, presented by planner Nicole Gilbert.
Maybe. Good evening. Let me see if I can. All right, so the applicant is requesting for his 2 parcels on Ellis Road to be annexed into the city so that he might connect to city sewer. The request initially came before you in May. You gave it the nod for the step 1 to move forward. It moved on to planning and zoning in July 23rd, and they recommended approval to move forward. The property combined is 1.4 acres and currently zoned highway commercial by the county. The Fayette County Board of Commissioners also heard this proposal, and they voted to not object to moving forward with the annexation. So, that being said, these properties are located on Ellis Road, 1.4 acres. Water is currently provided by Fayette County Water. The capacity for sewer is currently adequate to provide this development with sewer. However, they would be responsible for connecting to city sewer and provide, getting the easements to make that possible. In terms of community services, the city's community services are paid for through a combination of fees and taxes. Should the property be annexed into the city would absorb approximately 170 feet on Ellis Road. So that would become basically this portion here would become the responsibility of the city of Fayetteville. There is currently no sidewalk extending past the city limits onto these 2 properties, so if the properties were annexed, the property owner would be responsible for installing sidewalk along that way. If the property is annexed, the proposed zoning designation is neighborhood commercial. Because this is different from the county designation, the property must be rezoned and the request reviewed based on the rezoning standards. Staff reviewed the request and found the proposed zoning would be suitable to the surrounding properties and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. So for, I think I got ahead. One thing I wanted to note was they wanted to connect to, this is currently the property that has there's 2 parcels. I apologize, I've gotten ahead of myself tonight. The larger parcel is developed, it has a daycare. That daycare was developed in the 90s, maybe late 80s. For a daycare within the city limits, they need a special or a conditional use permit. This property meets those standards for a conditional use permit. It has the 150 square footage of play area fenced in the yard. It also has a covered drop-off for 2 cars. The only condition that they don't meet is they don't have a city certificate occupational tax license. Obviously, because they're in the county, that would be one requirement if they were annexed. The second parcel, the smaller parcel, because it's in the county, they have to have a septic drainage field. It's too small to develop, which is the primary reason they would like to come in. They don't have, the applicant does not have any plans for that lot yet. He just would like to put commercial on it, but exactly what that is and entails is yet to be determined. So, now that I've given you all the details out of order, the staff recommends, or staff supports the annexation request and recommends that it be approved with the following condition: that the applicant apply for a conditional for a occupational tax license, and then for the rezoning, we recommend approval with the condition that the subject parcels be designated as neighborhood center on the future land use map, and a sidewalk be installed along Ellis Road on both parcels when the second parcel is developed.
Okay. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
And would you like to add or subtract anything to her presentation? Okay. Any questions for the, from the audience?
I have a question.
Okay.
What's to the east, the furthest east of the vacant parcel? What's to the east of that? I see a building. What is that building? Looks like it's close to the property line. Do you see it, Chris?
Yeah, I don't remember what it is. Which side are you looking at?
Yeah. Who's your neighbor to the east?
Zaxby's on one side, and then it's like a strip mall, medical office.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just making sure in case of the separation. And Chris, I was just curious as to where the sewer is going to be connected from.
So, due to the time constraint of Whataburger, that's where the sewer is located. He actually put a stub out there and took a gamble that it would be annexed in because he had to get out of their way. So it would actually go through that development in the back.
Okay, and that's all the expense of the developer, right? The
Yes.
landowner.
It would
Okay.
not cost the city anything.
Okay, thank you.
Does council have any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote.
Move to approve.
Second.
Vote for us and a second. All in favor, say yay. Yay.
Yay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There needs to be two
Yeah, we
motions.
have to too, that's right. I'm sorry, you're right. All right, first vote would be for the annexation, 0-16-24. I assume that is the annexation. And parcels 0538, 091, and 0538, 028. Excuse me, may I have a call for a vote?
Move to approve annexation.
With,
This is the rezoning. The first one is the annexation, the second one is
The rezone. Right.
and don't forget the conditions.
With the conditions, I'll amend. Move to approve 0-16-24 with the conditions set in place. Second.
With the,
conditions are attached to the 17th, but we'll take
I think in the future, we just need to make sure that each item is a separate item on the agenda,
yeah, because it's
separate voting action.
for a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we do the rezoning request.
No, you're good.
We're good?
Yep.
All right.
Gotta get that quicker.
Only on my watch. All right, new business. Consider R-31-24, sewer availability for 625 Hood Avenue, presented by Director of Public Services, Chris Heinman.
Good evening, council. I would say mayor and council, but you're just council tonight.
I'm
so-
just a whatever.
Okay. So, back in the 60s, the city of Fayetteville ran sewer from the northeast quadrant of the city, what y'all would consider Highway 92 North, Ashland Way, Greenlee subdivision. And it actually came behind the City Lakes and then the Walker Lakes, which is on Hood Drive and Maryland Lane. We acquired easements from some of the property owners to have access sewer easements through their properties. Some of them were paid cash, some of them were granted the right for future tie-ins. We have a request from one of the property owners now to tie into sewer, which is located, it runs right along the back of the property. Since it's in the county, it's one of those situations that the Board of Commissioners has to approve it first before I'll bring it before y'all, because we have had situations to where they would not approve it. What staff is recommending is approval to allow them to tie on to the existing sewer main right in the back. They want to develop this parcel and they want to split it into two, which the county has approved the site plan based upon that. It could not be done without sanitary sewer because of the septic issue. And to be that close to the lake, I really wouldn't want a septic to go there. It's really hard to tell, but that's a lake right there. So I don't have an issue with it. This is one of those unusual situations to where I actually agree with allowing the tie-in. It has no minimum impact to the sewer system. They're already our water customers, so all it would be is us just billing them for sewer after they tie in. So
And he wants to do what with that additional part of the property?
he wants to split the parcels and he wants to build something back here with a driveway going around back.
And that would be up to the county to
That
approve
county
that.
would approve that, yep. And I
So
think
all-
they have to approve the
So
site
all
plan.
we're doing is approving a resolution to allow him to go to the county, correct?
No, what you're doing is allowing him to tie into our sanitary
Tap in.
sewer. That's the only
onto it
thing we're
already?
we're
Okay.
approving tonight.
Okay. Any questions from the citizens? Questions from the council?
Chris, in the past, we have annexed property in something like this, right?
No, well, when we ran this sewer line, like I said, we gave them the right to tie in instead of giving them monetary value. So if you go on the other northern end of this, we have several homes that have tied in over the years because of that right. Now, the county gave us pushback probably about 5 years ago on that because one of the property owners wanted to develop the property on Highway 92, and it actually is developed now. It's developed into a residential area. That's what really pushed this issue of getting them to approve it first, because it blew up into the developer's face at that time. They would not, they wouldn't hold our agreement like we did with the property owners. So, but yeah, I mean, we probably have 6 or 7 homes on the north side because of this sewer line we put in the 60s.
Any other questions? All right, consider R-31-24. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Move to approve in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Consider R-37-24, approval of proposal from NVS to prepare the traffic impact study and methodology reports associated with the 38-acre Grady Avenue tract mixed-use development, presented by Director of Community Development, David Rast.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you're aware, we are proceeding with the development of regional impact submittal for the 38-acre tract behind City Hall, or between City Hall and Grady Avenue. We've had a number of conversations with the Atlanta Regional Commission on what the requirements are. A part of that is the submittal of a pre-methodology report and a traffic impact study. We reached out to NV5, who was the transportation consultant both for our previous LCI study, and they've also been doing traffic studies input for the extension of City Center Parkway. So we would like to continue using them on this particular project. They have submitted a proposal to do that work. It is budgeted in the planning and zoning professional services budget, and we're seeking approval from council to enter into that contract.
Any questions from the city? Citizens, excuse me? Hearing none. Council?
Move to approve R-37-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Next item. You don't get to sit down, do you? Consider R-3824, approval of proposal from Nelco Architecture Incorporated, quote Nelson, for additional master planning services associated with the 38-acre Grady Avenue tract mixed-use development.
Again, this is related to the methodology study. We have a contract with Nelson currently to prepare the master plan, which they did, and that was presented to the public at a number of meetings. This particular addendum is to allow them, if there's any modifications to that based on the findings of the DRI process, that they would go back and modify the plan based on that. So it's a minimal fee, but we wanted to bring that to council for approval along with the contract with MV5.
And if for some reason we change the way the project looks, it would still hold under this DRI?
We would have to submit an entirely new DRI.
Any questions from the citizens? Hearing none. Questions from the council? Hearing none. Consider R-38-24.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Consider R-40-24, Declaration of Official Intent to Reimburse, presented by Director of Finance and Administrative Services, Mike Bush.
Good evening, Council. This resolution, we've done this for the last 2 years. We have a capital projects fund, and we have several $100,000 worth of equipment, vehicles type stuff. And normally we do a borrowing one time a year, and that's usually in October, November. But in the last couple of years, we've had a couple of things that came up that we really needed this equipment prior to waiting that long. So we just come before council and say, we have this list of equipment and items that we would like to purchase, and if we purchase them before we have the lease purchase in place, we can reimburse the city for that purchase, and it goes through the same process through the debt service program that we currently have. Currently, we have some equipment in the police department, the fire department, public works, recreation, and Main Street are the departments that have some equipment that is needed to be purchased, and we ask you to please allow us to reimburse ourselves once we do a lease purchase.
Any questions from the citizens? Hearing none. Questions from the council?
Mike, this is mainly because it's so competitive and the prices, it's hard to find good prices, so if stuff comes up, we have to grab it quick, correct?
It's that. It's also timing. Vehicles are hard to get. You
Yeah.
have to order them in the previous year to get them in the current year. And we actually have a quote. We had a quote for a pickup truck that we actually got cheaper by doing this than waiting till the 2025 truck comes out. They're more expensive. So.
Hearing no questions, consider R-4024. What is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried. Consent agenda, R-3924, items to be declared surplus for September auction, and R-41-24, self-funded medical summary plan description. Council, what is your pleasure?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to reports and comments. City Manager?
There'll be a number of items on the overhead for events coming up. Let me put my microphone back on. I have a few items. We have a retirement. One of our police officers, Scott Israel, who's been with us almost 20 years, will be retiring at the end of the month. He's done a lot of great work with the CARE unit over the last few years, so I think we're planning to have his retirement on September the 3rd. And Joe Clark had his birthday on August the 8th. Happy 50th.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, we have cake after Joe too for you, so
It's old.
we never miss that opportunity.
Just like the
It's
person.
old.
It's old. It's
Hey, I'm
moldy.
Medicare eligible, I'm good.
It's moldy too, so.
And then we have, just one important one too I want to talk about is the HOA POA meeting on Saturday, the 17th is Saturday at 9:30. There'll be some great discussion on code enforcement as well as future planning projects and current planning projects that are being constructed. So please join us if you can. And that's it.
All right, City Council, any reports, comments?
Just one thing, Main Street put on an event this last Saturday, and just wanted to thank them for the hard work that they put in to put on a pretty good event, so kudos to Main Street.
I'll echo that. It was nice and hot day too, so.
Anything else?
That was you with the bucket of water on your head.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know how to cool down.
Mayor comments, I have none. Now I'll open it up to public comment. And if you want to come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, Rachel Matthews, 590 Plainfield Street. I just was wondering if the city has any plans to work with any of the local businesses to try to help with facades and, as we drive up and down, especially in very visible areas, the city has a desire to be certainly world-class or competitive, right? But it's disheartening as a homeowner to see just the number of vacant spaces. So I don't know if you've considered or looked into just some of what maybe some other cities are doing to try to, spruce up those areas. Housing, great. A lot of great services, but again, the businesses and support for businesses.
I know we as a city have a Main Street Downtown Development Authority have a facade grant that's available that they can apply for. As far as the vacant buildings, if you have a solution to that, we would hire you and pay you lots of money. It's something that we have been fighting for many times in a long time, especially the Highway 85 corridor. It seems like it's a challenge. And the other thing today is, like we were talking, the city manager and I the other day, we just had Whataburger open up, and what does that put pressure on other franchises like McDonald's and so on? So we're concerned about that, and we actually look for all of that kind of thing and figure out what we can do to help everybody. We have a community economic development director now, and that's Lori, and that's her job. So if you want to get with her anytime you have a question, she'd be glad to give you her recap of where she's at, what she's doing, and we understand that we want to make it all look nice.
We are also starting the process of updating our economic development strategy. And we're actually just talking today about facades, investing money to help some of these businesses upgrade their facades. We're just trying to figure out the best way to do that. So you'll start seeing some of that discussion as part of that strategy, not only just to make everything look better, but to also attract other businesses to our community as well.
Correct.
And fill those vacancies that are out there.
Yeah, and just really quickly, so I don't know if there's also something, well, I can have the conversation, but also education for the small businesses, and also maybe assistance in courting the right businesses.
Yeah.
So.
One thing we've been struggling with is we would love to have, and we talked about it with staff, is have a town hall meeting with businesses. It's just hard to get the business owners there because of the timing, so we got to figure out the best way, if we have to have a couple meetings, just shared, just business license information, signage, zoning, all that information could be shared and have more discussion together.
Thank you.
As a small business owner, I know it's hard to get away because a lot of times you are one of the staff. So to get a time and a place that everybody can meet is like herding cats. Anybody else? Hearing nothing, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All is in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Come back and see us and bring money.